brain here. It took a bit longer to write this video than expected. After the Dorothy skin released, I fell into a goon-based coma. But I'm back again, and trying out a new video idea. There aren't quite as many jokes as usual, so let me know how you guys feel about this whole concept. Anyways, back to the actual thesis of the video. We're constantly told how bad the Sarkaz have it. How no one likes them, like politics, theater kids, or Hungarians. But the question we're here to answer is why? People don't tend to hate things for thousands of years, generation after generation, for absolutely no reason. So what gives? That's what we're here to find out on this episode of Justifying Being Racist Towards Fictional Races That Don't Exist, like Hungarians. So how exactly are the Sarkaz treated? What we are told, the distinction is important, tends to always be that the Sarkaz are victims, that everyone else are the bullies pushing around the poor Sarkaz who just never had a chance. Now the narrative that the Sarkaz are screwed harder than 90% of the Zolix that you put in front of me is very pervasive from what we see. However, where are we seeing and hearing that from? Mostly from the Sarkaz themselves or Rhodes Island, which given its history as Babel, tends to have serious sympathies with the Sarkaz and lean very much to their side of the story. We know people can be pretty mean with them, but why do we see it when it's happening in the story? Mostly predatory rumors and or old prejudices that still remain, which are pretty bad. But it also doesn't tend to be a first reaction on contact virtually ever, which is strange, both from the context of this is, you would assume, racists seeing people who clearly fit the description of the race they don't like, and in a story, that's a very easy way is to have people consistently giving these characters trouble. Take Hibiscus in the event where the gay cousins almost have sex before one is turned into the physical manifestation of the voice in the other's head and his body rots away because of it. Man, what the fuck was the plot of Lingering Echoes? Jesus. Hibiscus is generally treated pretty well in the beginning until the rumors convicting the Sarkaz on 12 counts of being naughty at the local Rhodes branch. This tends to be the way that we see the Sarkaz viewed. Certainly not positively. It's the way a rural community in Nebraska would look at an immigrant. Probably not outright aggression from the start, but an extra level of suspicion and scrutiny even if there shouldn't be one. However, it's not like this everywhere. The view is different in some places, such as, most notably, Laterano. When a Sancta and a Sarkaz spot each other, that shit is on-site and racially motivated. Interestingly, the Sancta were once Sarkaz. I think that was a pretty good way that HG tied in why Fallen Sancta get horns and tails, by the way. Now what's interesting is that there are other races as well that were once Sarkaz. Oni and Anasa. Now what do Oni and Nasa and the Sancta have in common that the Sarkaz do not? They aren't, as a group, commonly hated from what we see. The Sancta are respected even when Laterano has its own serious racism problems. Y'all better start to treat my Angry Bird as an equal by law, or I will leave your anterior gaping wider than Fia leaves Andowine's ass. But this video isn't about Laterano and their institutional inequity that would make Jefferson Davis blush. This is about those dastardly devils. Now bringing all these loose ends we've discussed so far into a coherent point. Most would call this a fruitless endeavor, but hey, your boy is gonna try. The opinion of the Sarkaz is generally negative in most places, although those who were Sarkaz even practice their rituals or maintain a similar appearance in the case of the Anasa and the Oni are not. How have they, even after Kazdel was destroyed 3,421 times, retained this pedestal of hatred? Well, if you read the title of the video, you can probably guess the line of reasoning we're going to take a trip down here. What if the Sarkaz aren't victims? What if, in fact, the Sarkaz are the primary reason for their own circumstances, that the choices of Kazdel's leaders are what keep their people at large in a perpetual state of warfare and misery? We've been talking about how others view the Sarkaz, but what about how they view themselves and others? The monster underneath the crown. The leaders and important people in the Sarkaz community are racists. Like, this is more clear than my piss on June 23rd, which is National Hydration Day. They're always going on about how strong they are, how incredible their power is. The Sanguinarch may have been Mr. Potential up until he drained out Delphine's mom like she was a tube of Go-Gurt, but he's a great example of this. He just went on and on and on about how cool and strong he is. Like, brother, Kha'Zit being out of commission doesn't mean we need someone else filling her yap time. These feelings of superiority are pervasive. The Noxera king at the start of our trip to Victoria and continuously after is the same. Theresa and Theresis do both feel this way. The individual soldiers following the leaders seem to have come to the same conclusion as their leaders as well, which makes sense. Bad ideas are like a cancer of hate. Damn, that's what the Hoderer theme says. Now, real quick, because I know there will be Theresa defenders, she did seem to always be this way. She just originally felt, correctly I would say, that Kazdel and the Sarkaz at large wouldn't be accepted if they rebuilt the land with the express intent of war. Again. For the 3,422nd time. But now coming back, she's thrown in her lot that it's so Jover. No one will let the Sarkaz be unless they murder or enslave them all, as has been the rallying cry of the Sarkaz for so long. I mean, this is the whole idea behind Patriot's last gasp when he sees the Black Crown on Amia at the end of Chapter 7. He's seen the prophecies, and Booty Boy knows that crown has been more dangerous than putting a Smash tournament next to a preschool, or your family within 2,000 miles of me without liking and dropping a sub. It only takes a minute and you can undo it later if you want. Sorry for that forced-ass segue. I heard mid-video reminders for that stuff is effective, and I'm desperate to get to 2K subs soon so I can finally relax and start making longer videos without such a stressful quick turnaround time of 1 week while I'm doing, college, voiceover stuff. But anyways, one of the most iconic scenes in Arknights occurs specifically because Patriot is wise enough to know what that crown has done, and that more than likely what it would be used for continuously. However, Amia is actually different. She isn't a Sarkaz, at least not fully. She hasn't been raised with the narrow, vengeance-fueled view of the world that the others who have possessed that crown do have. But that, along with her race, lead her to not being accepted. Amia is like the person who used to be religious, got baptized 5 times, did everything in the name of the Lord, but through vigorous study lost faith in the Bible only to get told, nah, you just don't get it, you were never even actually religious. She understands that there is another way, better than any one of the Sarkaz even seems to understand their own, and yet, nah, you're an idiot and a different race to me, so I'll just ignore them. The Revenant ship really spells it out plainly. He doesn't despise Amia for any tangible reasons. Not foolishness, arrogance, conceit. Nope, because she can't stand with the Sarkaz because she isn't one. Fully. Remember, she's a chimera. I understand your leader should represent their people, and she is part Sarkaz, and is the one the previous Lord of Fiends passed the crown to. But the Sarkaz just can't get past the superficial. They can't go deeper than surface level. Much like Super reading the Arknights story, what Amia represents is just too complex, seemingly for them to understand. A better way. Rhodes is the better way. The Sarkaz are just like everyone else there. It would take time and more blood, sweat, and tears than admitting you're wrong mid-argument, but there is a better way and a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, all of this is to say, the view that the Sarkaz have of themselves as a superior race and the ones who should rightfully rule the whole world with everyone else as, at best, second-class citizens, and anyone who would avoid this fate, who would work with or operate as someone not properly placed in their narrow racial box of what it means to be a Sarkaz, is an idiot race traitor. Paprika can hardly even comprehend the hotel manager guy because he gets this, cares more about furnishing his hotel than murdering people. This is the level that the Sarkaz at large have sunk to. Is that any surprise that groups of Sarkaz split off? The Sancta have their own issues, but they aren't even comparable in the amount of threat they pose to innocent lives, or people who just aren't like them. Still a threat to Sarkaz, which is a problem, but the Sarkaz want to be a threat to everyone, including any other Sarkaz in the way of this grand vision. Now, before I start comparing Theresis to Austria's most notable animal rights activist and get demonetized, what do the Sarkaz actually want to do?
It's just a one-shot, stay locked.
The The goals of the Sarkaz are clear, and have been. The world of Terra is a bit confusing with how everyone ended up there. Precursors and the T-Kaz and the Ancients showing up makes it confusing to comprehend where and when land may have changed hands. However, the Sarkaz say, it was all at one point ours, and so it will be again. Now, I don't know if we have any objective confirmation of this on Global yet, or if it's just something that the Sarkaz are saying that we have to believe. As an American, I think I have the real deep insight to drop here that, you can't take everything people in power say at face value. Now, I know some people will be shocked that a fat gingerbread man and geriatric skinwalker aren't always on top of everything, but it happens. Now, the Sarkaz are claiming the whole world, saying, oh, the Ancients showed up later, but even granting them that, they showed up later on Terra. And do I believe that the Sarkaz were all totally super peaceful before the Ancients showed up with, the vampires, the Nachzerer, Goliaths, future-predicting superstitious Cyclops, the Wendigos? Also very unlikely. All of this boils down to the Sarkaz seeing the whole world as theirs. Everyone else in it as a disease of invaders. Such a superior race must spread throughout the living space of the world. Do you see why I don't think they're just poor little victims yet? Obviously, you can't take every Sarkaz as an example of that. Those at Rhodes Island are great examples of Sarkaz away from the cult of personality in Kazdel, who are allowed to think freely and actually be normal. Typhon comes from Sami and is normal. Hoderer is even within Kazdel and actually understanding the issues with their plans. Nasti has lived for years in Colombia away from Kazdel, and while she still wants the world for Kazdel and the Sarkaz, her methods are technological and engineering based. And unlike in TF2, engineering in Arknights isn't violent. Okay, that's a lie, but Nasti's brand of engineering isn't usually, yeah. I can't really play Nasti's lawyer here. I don't know if Phoenix Wright himself could get out of this one. Maybe if him and Edgeworth started smooching mid-trial, the judge would get distracted. Anyways, this has gone on for a while, and I think I'm about ready to wrap this up.
It's just a one-shot, stay locked.
In conclusion, the elites of Kazdel's ideology and actions are born of racism, short-sighted vengeance against groups who are long dead, and an absolute need for violence above all else. They're about as trustworthy as the average royal advisor in a fantasy series. Ah yes, my lord. Grimace Snake-Tongue Darkmind is absolutely someone we can trust with the future of our realm. Perhaps most pressing of all with relation to the thesis statement and idea behind this video. They actively, knowingly, and consistently perpetuate their own situation. They prove these negative stereotypes that they supposedly hate right constantly, and they don't see anyone who isn't a Sarkaz as ever being equal to them. Even after 3,021 total defeats, utter brutalizations, times their armies have been left looking like Patrick after too much ice cream, Kazdel is claimed by no one else. Their home is free to be built up, but it's not enough. The leaders of the court of the Sarkaz are narcissistic, stubborn, racist, genocidal maniacs, and they are Terra's greatest villains. Thanks for watching. Even after all of what I said, Theresa can get it. I mean, just fucking look at her. As I said in the intro, this video doesn't have as many jokes as normal, so sorry about that. This is all in good fun, taking a look at an angle that I think most people wouldn't see the story through. Similar to the philosophy of certain game theory videos. I'm sure I missed some stuff, so if you have points against what I said, let me know in the comments. I'm thinking more videos like this in the future may be fun to do, but I hope you liked, and hope you'll subscribe and come back next time.